Also, if there's one guy who maybe shouldn't be talking this week, it's Robey-Coleman. That and the only thing that's stopping the Warriors right now. Let's go.
Ooh, look out.
All the field.
That was Mike Brown pointing at him.
That looks cold when he's falling.
Her laughing.
He was fouled.
And at this point, I feel like a little disrespected that people think I would disrespect Tom Brady.
Beautiful day for a walk back, isn't it? Well, maybe not for you, Sarah. You can't even go outside in this polar vortex. Here are Robey-Coleman's original quotes. He will slowly start to reveal himself. Age has definitely taken a toll. He's definitely not the same quarterback he was. All right, Jackie, what do you make of the trash talk? What do you make of the subsequent walk back?
Oh, silly Nickel. We have been down this road so many times before. Players disrespecting Tom Brady, players disrespecting the Patriots. And if you notice, the Patriots are smart enough to say anything until afterwards. I'll take you back to Super Bowl 39, Tony. I was there. Freddie Mitchell, the receiver for the Eagles, says, I don't even know the names of these DBs on the Patriots because they're no good. And what happens? He has one catch for 11 yards, and Bill Belichick, after the game, says, he's terrible, and you can print that. And by the way, Tony, that was the last catch Freddie Mitchell ever made in the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
And now you know the rest of the story. Frank Isola, how about you?
Well, it's perfect for Tom Brady because it fits right in with the theme of everyone's counting us out. Everyone thinks that I'm too old. But I do think what he was saying was somewhat true about the unraveling. When you look at the two Super Bowls they lost to the Giants, it was about the rush getting to Tom Brady. And the one thing that hasn't happened in the first two playoff games is that no one's sacking Tom Brady. So if you want to unrattle or unravel Tom Brady, the way you have to do it, you have to get him early and knock him to the ground.
Clint Yates.
Frank, I wouldn't say this is somewhat true. It is completely true. He has lost a step. He doesn't look the same, but he's still better than everybody else. And that's kind of the big deal here is like, look, it doesn't matter whether or not he's the same Tom Brady. He's still Tom Brady. Check the rings, check the records. I have a problem with him walking it back because if I'm the Rams, I think you've got to be a little bit more confident than that. But nothing he said was wrong. However, Brady is still the GOAT.
Sarah Spain.
I can't believe Frank somehow made this about the Giants. Actually, I can't believe that. That's not surprising at all. The most important thing here is that he is right. He is older. He is a step slower. He is not quite as sharp. Unfortunately, Robey-Coleman goes on to say he's going to reveal himself. And when he reveals himself, all he ever reveals is that he's the greatest quarterback of all time. And if you give him enough time on the clock, he's going to win the game for you. The best you can hope for if you're the Rams is that Robey-Coleman backpedals as well in the game as he did at media.
Jackie, you want a last word on this?
So here's what I'll say. 2 out of 3 ain't bad. Maybe he's slower, but not less sharp. I would say the exact opposite. When you are slower, when you get older, you have to be more cerebral than everybody else on the field. That's how you survive, and that's how Tom
Frank
Brady has
Isola?
survived.
Well, he did get to 1,000 rushing yards this season, so he is somewhat mobile, I guess. But I think for the Patriots, it's perfect. Let the other team do the talking, you do the playing, and guess what? We'll be talking about Tom Brady 2 years down the road that it looks like he maybe he's lost.
Yeah. Sarah, you called out Frank for bringing up the Giants. I thought it was an incredible restraint from Isola for not bringing up the fact that a Giant, David Tyree's last catch came against the Patriots, much like Freddie Mitchell's last catch came against the Patriots. We'll move on. Anthony Davis, day 2 of 10 before the trade deadline. Pelicans say they won't rush a trade. They'll do it on their own terms and time. They want the NBA to look out for tampering. While the Lakers, as expected, and the Knicks, as Frank Isola so expertly surmised yesterday, get their trade machines in order. Here's the Kevin O'Connor report that the Raptors and Bucks are also in play to make an offer. Start there, Sarah Spain, on a Toronto or Milwaukee making a move that puts them all in for the next year and a half, maybe without the long-term commitment, compared to those other teams, the Lakers, thinking they have a chance to sign him long-term.
Well, the key is that if you are concerned about him not signing long-term and you're giving up valuable assets, you get him now, you make a run, assuming that you don't have to give up so much for him that you've now taken a big step back, and getting him makes you less likely to be able to contend. Assuming that you can contend, and let's say it's Giannis and Anthony Davis and some other pieces, right? Then, if it doesn't work out and you don't win, you flip him before he leaves you and you get some of those assets, or maybe even better assets back. Anthony Davis, there are almost no peers for him. So whatever your best assets are that you don't want to give up, you're going to get something close to that back. You're never going to get something close to Anthony Davis other than right now.
Clint Yates.
That's why I feel like this is ultimately really, I don't want to say unfair to the Pelicans, but I feel bad for them. There's no way you can get equal value for Anthony Davis. It has been somewhat, I'm not going to call it a failure, but we're talking about this guy's 7th season in the league, and he hasn't been nearly the type of player in terms of making that franchise better that everybody thought he was going to be. I just don't like the way this is going to shake out for the Pelicans. That franchise is basically moribund on some level, and you can't get anybody back who's not only the basketball player, but also the star that Anthony Davis could be. It's a tough situation for them all
Frank
around.
Isola?
But the possibilities, Clinton, they open up if teams are willing to so-called rent him. Everyone thought that Paul George was going to be a rental in Oklahoma City. He resigned. Right now, we're all assuming Kawhi Leonard could be a one-year rental. He might end up with the Clippers. I think it all comes down to ownership and management of the Pelicans, how they're feeling right now, because that's the same ownership and management people. Mickey Loomis is the head of basketball operations. He's a football guy. These people also run the Saints. Think about the way the Saints season ended. 8 days later, you have Anthony Davis coming out now saying, I want to leave. So what do you think? They're going to sit back and say, you know what we should do? We should trade him to the Lakers. And, you know, Los Angeles beat us in football. Now let's give them
all right. I appreciate you dropping that on the table. But specifically, on Milwaukee or Toronto, I mean, this is just juicy, isn't it, Frank? Who can put a better offer on the table, Milwaukee or Toronto? Should they? And would that put them in position to compete with the East and the Warriors for a championship this year?
And I think it's smart what both teams are doing because, A, you put him in the Eastern Conference, you're putting him with a great player, either Kawhi Leonard or Giannis, and both those franchises are thinking, come with us in our organization. Look how we've developed a culture, a winning culture. You'll want to resign.
Okay, but what are we talking about specifically? Jackie, are you salivating at the idea that maybe you can get Giannis and Anthony Davis on the floor if they, what is that, Middleton and Brogdon and Thon Maker? Is that the deal?
Well,
what is it?
At least.
It's a lot of those guys. And you know, the problem with all this, of course you do it. I'm not arguing with that. But in doing so, you tear down the framework of a team that's doing pretty well right now. The Milwaukee Bucks have the best record in basketball right now. And they're building something there. Would I do it? Of course I would try. Everyone should try. The most intriguing one to me, Tony, though, is Toronto. Think about it. You have no guarantees you're going to keep Kawhi Leonard, and now you're going to take on another guy that you have no guarantees is going to stay? You have two of the top 5 players in the league, and you don't even know if you get to keep them. Talk about a major, major gamble.
Well, another thing that makes it interesting, though, wouldn't you say, is that is not Milwaukee in the same position that New Orleans, or would be in the same position in a few years that New Orleans finds itself in right now, right, Frank? That Giannis, maybe in 2 years, 3 years, is in the same position as Davis saying, get me out of here.
He seems
Although you
to
never
be
hear
a
that from
different kind
Giannis.
of guy that's happy in Milwaukee.
Yeah, you never hear that from Giannis.
I hear that from both of you guys. Okay, real quick, Jackie, tampering, the whole idea of tampering, I mean, this is prime season, and this is the most NBA thing here, but the Pelicans asking the NBA to watch for tampering. Let me hear, what's your take on that?
There will be blood and there will be a fine. But beyond that, it's just business in the NBA.
All right, we'll move on. The Yahoo report that Kyrie Irving might not sign long-term with Boston is like reverse tampering. And here it is, growing belief of uncertainty. That's how it was described. So add that to the bouillabaisse for tomorrow's NBA, while we still need to eat tonight in the NBA. This is what we always do. What's going to happen in the NBA in 2 years? What's going to happen in the NBA in 1 year? Jackie, this is your beat. Are you hearing similar things about Kyrie Irving?
No, I am not. Gee, I wonder where this report came from. I wonder. Let me think
What
about it.
are you saying there, Jackie?
Does it have anything to do with Rich Paul, who often, I don't know, maybe. So this report, I will say this. There is some frustration from Kyrie Irving. Of course there is, because this team is not performing the way he had hoped, and he is carrying a huge load, and he doesn't want to be the James Harden of New England, okay? But it's January. He hasn't made any kind of seismic decision like that. And let's say even if he is a little unhappy and a little unsure, don't you think bringing Anthony Davis aboard may quell all of those fears or concerns for Kyrie Irving? So I don't put any stock in it.
you?
Sorry.
From everything that I've heard, that Kyrie Irving and Anthony Davis want to play together one day. So if Anthony Davis is still a member of the Pelicans after February 7th, there's a very good chance that could happen this summer. Yeah, we've all heard this about Kyrie Irving. He also came out during that open practice in Boston and said he was going to resign. Then he did a commercial with his dad where he talked about wanting his number retired in the Boston Garden. Now he's going to leave? I'm not so sure about that.
Yeah, I'm not sure I understand why he wants this out here. What better situation is he going to get? Is there a combination of talent and, basketball city outside of Oakland that's got a better scenario in the NBA? Where do you want to go at this point if you're Kyrie Irving? You already asked out. You said you want to lead a team. You're in a LeBron-free Eastern Conference. What's the problem here? I just don't get it.
Spain.
Yeah, I think Jackie's right. This sounds like machinations in lying season, which is what we're in right now, where different agents are trying to change the narrative around things. Sorry, I used that word, but that's what they're doing so that they can influence whether or not teams feel like they need to go all in or not. She's right. If Anthony Davis is coming to Boston and they have the best deal to give the Pelicans and they have the most flexibility with their draft picks and their young talent, and he's there already, and all we've ever heard is maybe he would want to go to the Knicks. Why? Because they have a nice stadium and an owner that no one wants to play for and a history of failure? Why are the Knicks always in the conversation? No one actually wants to go there.
Inside voices. Sarah, you
wants to hang with me.
1,000% the truth. But Jackie, last word on this after the horn.
Well, I will tell you the Knicks. So the Knicks scenario, Frank Isola is a very small part of it. It's got a lot more to do with the fact that Durant and Kyrie are tight. They work out all together all summer. And the notion is that they would both go to New York. That's the notion. All right. Not the narrative, the notion.
Well, okay, but you know what?
The theme.
It's basically the earmuffs. If you say the word, I mean, I got an earmuff for our viewers. All right, let's look at the show right now. And you know what? While we're doing this here, this is for you, Sarah Spain. I saw the temperature in Chicago today, -25. How many layers did you wear to work?
Wow. Many layers.
Right. We'll make this one quick. Buy or sell next.
That's cool.
Warm in New York.
Around the Horn is brought to you by Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. Horn brought to you by Chase. Coming to you from the Seaport District at Pier 17.
Buy or sell time. McMullen 20. Isola 17. Spain 16. Clinton Yates close to double figures. Let's see if we can work that around and buy or sell. 11 straight in a row consecutively. Warriors say they're starting their playoff mentality now. Curry's playoff mentality is in finals form right here with this celebration. Sarah, what do you expect to see from this Warriors team going forward? And how does playoff mentality in January strike you?
Oh, it's so good. I expect fewer Steph Curry sideline falls when Klay Thompson dunks. But listen, this should not be surprising to anyone. I think anyone who looks at this team and the talent knows that they were going to get here. I think you have to compare them to the previous iterations of themselves, not the rest of the league. When Steph Curry's breaking his own NBA record for fastest to 200 threes, when they're setting and tying their record for most wins in a row from last season, this is when you know the real Warriors are here.
Yates?
I'm buying every single part of this. I'm impressed with how Boogie Cousins has gotten himself into this lineup. Steve Kerr has done a great job. I realized he was with the team, but he wasn't playing. They're beating teams in close games. They're not just blowing everybody out. The Warriors look amazing.
Frank Isola?
Clinton Yates mentioned the name. It's all about DeMarcus Cousins. These teams that constantly go to the finals to get through the dog days, they need some kind of motivation. Their motivation right this moment is Boogie Cousins. And I'll tell you what, it's going to be tough to beat them 4 times.
Okay, I get it. You all think the Warriors are good. That's not exactly the question we're going for today. Is the idea that January is playoff mentality. No. I appreciate it, Frank. Now can you address the January playoff mentality? Is it too early to be going to that button that they're pressing?
What's wrong with trying to win all the time? There's nothing wrong with that at all. And they're outclassing teams, and they have extra motive. When they take the court, they're starting 5 All-Stars. Come on, they should be winning these games.
Counterpoint is they tried to win them all a few years ago. The 73-win season is the one they didn't win the NBA Finals.
And they came within a minute.
Right. Jackie Mack, you want to weigh in here?
Draymond.
Yeah, but it's too late to try to win them all now. They haven't. They've faltered early. Their defense wasn't very good. So I agree with everything what everybody's saying here, but I always look on the defensive end of the floor, and that's where they're improving. And as good as Cousins in, you know when they're going to be at their best? When they go small and start switching and shut teams down, which is what they did to the Boston Celtics last weekend. The vibe around this team, Tony, I was with them Sunday at Harvard University where they were practicing. It's unbelievable. It's like the KD and Draymond Green thing never happened.
Yeah, that's an amazing thing too. Also, by the way, when you talk about practice, you have to just say they practice at a Boston area school. You can't tell us it was Harvard. We'll move on. Buy or sell too. Gronk. And the plan to take time after the Super Bowl to decide the future. His future, but everybody's future. Clinton, buy or sell Gronk's decision here?
I'm buying this. He was asked about this at a fan event, and somebody said, something in terms of toughness and NFL players, and he replied, I feel like I've been in a car wreck every single Monday. If that guy can feel the pain and is making that much of a difference in his mentality, step away, man. You're a great player, but there's no need to put yourself
Gut check. Gronk retires after the Super Bowl, Clinton? Yes or no?
If they win it, I wouldn't be surprised.
Frank Isola, how about you?
I think he will. He took a long time last season to decide to come back. And remember, to me, I think the mind is there. The body's starting to break down. But what a game he had in the AFC Championship game, especially blocking. He was tremendous.
Jackie Mack, gut check. Do you think this is Gronk's last game?
I really do. And you mentioned the blocking, Frank. He's a Hall of Fame tight end, but he was all about catching balls, catching touchdowns. He had all these incentives this year, Tony, $3.3 million worth. You know how many he reached?
Zero.
Zero.
Yeah.
Absolutely zero. So if you're going to put your body through all this and you're not even going to get paid through those incentives, why keep doing it?
Sarah Spain.
Same goes for Tom Brady, though. He didn't hit any of his incentives. And if Gronk's looking over at Tom Brady and saying, you don't have to be 100% of your best self, but you can still be so dominant, even at a lesser level than before, I don't see why he would stop now. I really believe that he's going to take some time after the game. He's going to rest. He's going to start to feel better. And he's going to decide he wants to come back with Tom Brady still there, with Belichick still coaching, and go for another one.
Well, maybe he can be on a different plan, right? Maybe he doesn't have to play all 16 games. He missed one game this year, but he didn't play like Gronk did for half the season, and still, as Frank said, had a great game in the playoffs. We'll move on. Buy or sell 3. Tony Romo, the coach. Darren Ravel's report on the Action Network that an NFL team reached out to Romo to gauge his interest in becoming a head coach. Frank, I want you to buy or sell that, and buy or sell it meaning more to that team that asked, or meaning more to Romo.
Well, you know what? I'm buying it from this standpoint. You know, owners watch games as well, and maybe they watch the AFC Championship game. And like Tony Reali, they felt that Romo called the perfect game. And we see it in hockey, we see it in basketball, we see it in baseball. Guys going from the booth to coach a team. Maybe it'll happen in football. Who knows?
Jackie Mack.
All I know is I was watching that game and I'm listening to Tony Romo tell me where all the Patriot players are going to go, and I'm thinking, hey, Bob Sutton, you should at least be listening. You should have Tony Romo on your headset, the poor guy. So, I mean, I think this is a wonderful, flattering thing, but I hope Tony Romo does not do this. He's very good at what he does now, and calling that on game day and having to get down in the trenches, he doesn't need that headache.
I mean, I guess that's the question, right? Well, how does calling a perfect game compare to coaching in the NFL? Sarah Spain, you want to weigh in there?
Well, as a head coach especially, right? You're a CEO of a team. You're not just a coordinator where you focus on predicting what's going to happen by the offense or setting your team in different phases. I mean, I think he makes so much money that this is going to end up being a Gruden situation where until somebody says this is worth leaving the booth to come coach, there's no reason for him to do it.
And Clinton Yates.
Yeah, this is a complete gimmick, and you've got to think about all the other guys in the NFL who probably deserve jobs, who probably aren't getting talked to. I'm sorry, I think about that when things like this happen. And guess what? The prediction's not that big a deal. He said somebody's going to win 28-24 today. Didn't even name a team. Come on, Tony. What are we doing?
Whoa. It's all right.
Yeah, wow.
We'll see what the final score is. We will see. That's a good point, Clint. Wonder what team reached out, by the way. Okay, Sarah Spain, 22, which, you know, is fine. It's about your scoring average, but it is 45 points higher than the temperature in your city, which is like an all-time record, I think, honestly, for the show.
Problem. Don't make me leave.
All right, Sarah, stay warm. Clint Yates, you look snugly in that sweater. Stay warm as well. Frank Isola, Jackie McMullen, showdown on the other side. McMullen, Frank Isola in showdown. The all-time head-to-head is 11-11. Really?
What's
Good
my
luck.
probability?
Showdown 1, Penny, and is jealous. Are you jealous, Frank?
I'm not sure that Dan Marley, Patrick Ewing, Chris Mullen feel that way. Maybe certain teams feel threatened because he's pretty good at recruiting and they have a lot of talent in Memphis, but he's in the state with the number 1 team, and it's not Memphis. It's Tennessee. Jealousy? I'm not buying that one.
Jealousy over James Wiseman, the number 1 recruit in ESPN that is now going to Memphis next year because Penny Hardaway coached him. So it's all about the talent. You can't be jealous till you actually accomplish something. And I'm not saying Penny won't, but it's a little premature.
Okay.
Just a bit.
Well, not that premature. You're up 1-0, Jackie Mack. We'll move on. Showdown 2. Are we getting to a point where the Zion blocks are more impressive than the Zion dunks? Jackie?
Well, come on. I'm a former big person, big woman, I guess you would call
Former.
me. And blocks are all they're all about the blocks. You know, especially if you can hang on to them like Bill Russell used to do and direct them to Bob Cousy. A block's no good in the stands. This guy retrieves it and gets it to his teammate. There's nothing better than that in basketball.
I'm a current big guy, Jackie, and I love it. Jackie wants to walk into NBA arenas and have NBA coaches tell, that's so great. It's great that you picked blocking. Come on. It's about dunking the ball. That's when we see Zion Williamson play above the rim. Forget the blocks. It's about the dunks.
Well, this would have been a slam dunk for
Frank?
you, Frank, if you would have picked the blocks. Jackie Mack, 30 seconds of FaceTime. Enjoy it.
We spent so much talking about if Tom Brady retire and is Rob Gronkowski going to retire. But you know, there's a Patriot that very well may retire if they win the Super Bowl, and I'm talking about Devin McCourty. Devin McCourty was such a huge presence in the locker room. He actually became a captain in his second season. And he's talking about retiring now because if he wins this one, he'll win it alongside his twin brother, Jason McCourty, who joined the Patriots this year. Can you think of any better way to go out at 31 years old as a champion with your twin brother right beside you? I hope it does turn out this way. Devin McCourty is one of the best, for sure.
Thank you, Jackie Mack.
I don't have a twin.
Our former big person, Jackie Mack, with the win today. Jackie, you're not shrinking. You're still, what, 6 foot, 5'11"? I mean, come on.
Oh, yeah.
23 and a half hour break. We'll see you.